When the astronauts of Artemis 2 pointed their lens back at Earth to capture the Hello World photograph from 100,000 miles away, they did not see a magnificent, triumphant empire. They saw a draining hourglass, a fragile, glowing sphere running out of time, a reality so heavy it forced one man to desperately carve the name of his late wife into the decaying surface of the moon. For 53 years, we have celebrated our absence from deep space. But do not be fooled. 53 years is not a well-earned rest. It is a stolen half-century. It is 53 years of our planet growing older, its resources bleeding dry. All while our only legacy out there in the dark, the bootprints of the Apollo era, are quietly being erased, pulverized by thousands of micrometeorites. So, when you look at the fiery launch of Artemis 2, do not see it as the glorious start of a new space race. It is not a victory lap. It is a desperate search for an eternal cemetery. A hearse flying into the void, desperately trying to lock away the fading memories of our species before the relentless ticking clock of the cosmos destroys us entirely. Look closely at the Space Launch System, the supposed crown jewel of our new era. Beneath the blinding flames and the patriotic cheers lies a fragile, bleeding beast. Even before the countdown reached 0, ground control panicked over a faulty sensor in the flight termination system. A string of raw explosives wired directly to the belly of the main fuel tank, ready to obliterate the entire rocket at the first sign of failure. We literally strapped our astronauts to a massive bomb, hoping the explosion would not kill them before the vacuum of space had the chance. And in the months before that, this Titan bled hydrogen, and then it bled helium. Engineers had to tear its mechanical guts out, piece by piece, and stitch it back together like a dying patient on life support. This is not a flawless triumph of human engineering. It is a desperate, temporary rebellion against the laws of thermodynamics, a rusting metal skeleton fighting just to survive its own violent birth on the launch pad. But the true humiliation was waiting in the dark. At an altitude of 43,500 miles, the romantic illusion of a sci-fi future was violently shattered. It was not cosmic radiation or a catastrophic depressurization that broke the fantasy. It was our own rotting biology. The universe does not care about our billion-dollar technology. Inside the Integrity capsule, the state-of-the-art waste management system simply failed. The suction fan died, and just like that, the mighty pioneers of Artemis were reduced to the exact same pathetic state as the ghosts of Apollo 53 years ago. Forced to relieve their failing bodies into plastic bags while floating in the absolute void, frantically dealing with something as painfully mundane as a Microsoft email login error. It is a cruel, absurd joke. We drag the most miserable aspects of our earthly existence out into the pristine vacuum. Out there, you are not a conqueror. You are just a highly vulnerable, flawed biological machine trapped inside a cramped metal cage. Your flesh is a prison. Every breath you take, every single heartbeat is nothing more than a biological countdown. We build these massive rockets to outrun our mortality, to pretend we are gods of a new frontier, but the void does not welcome us. It only exposes our pathetic fragility, reminding us that we are completely surrounded by an environment that actively wants to erase us. As the Integrity reaches the extreme limit of its journey, 252,000 miles from home, it crosses a threshold that no human eyes have truly grasped. The Oriental Basin, a colossal, violent scar, 600 miles wide and 3.8 billion years old. This is the boundary. As the spacecraft glides over this ancient crater, the deceptive, familiar face of the near side fades away. Down on Earth, we look up at the dark volcanic plains of the moon and see a peaceful companion. But that is a lie. That is just ancient lava that paved over the truth. As the far side reveals itself, you are staring at a pure, unedited museum of destruction. There is no atmosphere here to shield it, no tectonic plates to recycle the crust, no volcanic blood to heal the wounds. It is a frozen, battered wasteland, forced to wear every single violent impact it has suffered since the dawn of the solar system, a permanent record of cosmic slaughter. But the most terrifying aspect of the far side is not the craters. It is the trap of absolute, crushing isolation. Imagine the psychological torture of watching your entire world slowly sink below a jagged, lifeless horizon, an Earth set. And the moment the massive, dead body of the moon slides between the integrity and the Earth, the laser communications are brutally severed. For 40 agonizing minutes, the 4 humans inside that metal cage are plunged into an abyss, blind and mute, a complete sensory deprivation. They are entirely cut off from the human race. If the hull cracked, if the oxygen vented into space, no one would hear their final screams. And as if the universe wanted to prove its absolute dominance, it strips away their light. For 54 agonizing minutes, the crew witnesses a total solar eclipse from the far side. They watch in silence as this giant, desolate rock completely swallows the sun. The only source of warmth and life in our solar system is blocked out by a floating tombstone. In that sudden, freezing darkness, the absolute blackness of the void rushes in, revealing billions of distant dying stars, a panoramic view of a universe that is slowly burning itself out. Yet, it is right here, in the darkest, most unforgiving corner of our journey, that the true soul of our expedition is revealed. As the spacecraft floats above the rugged, pale brown and faint green shadows of the lunar highlands, Commander Reed Wiseman looks down at a brightly lit impact crater, a fresh wound, violently kicking up pristine dust from beneath the surface. And he names this scar Carol, after his late wife. Do not look at this through the lens of human romance. Look at it through the lens of deep time. It is a deeply tragic, desperate rebellion against the erasure of existence. On Earth, the biosphere is a relentless machine of decay. Everything we love, our bodies, our monuments, our greatest cities, will eventually rot, rust, and be ground into dust. The grave of his wife on Earth will one day be washed away by the rain and swallowed by the shifting tectonic plates. But out here, on a completely dead, sterile rock, time stands still. There is no wind to blow the dust away. There is no rain to erode the stone. By giving that crater her name, he is not just honoring a memory, he is forging an eternal tombstone. He is taking a fragile, fleeting human tragedy and carving it into a celestial vault that will survive the death of our own planet. It is the ultimate confession of a doomed species. We know our time is running out. We know our bodies will fail. And so we hurl ourselves into the freezing void, desperately carving our names on dead rocks, begging the cosmos to remember us long after our home has turned to ash. The journey home is not a welcoming embrace. It is a violent, unforgiving punishment from our own planet. Before hitting the upper atmosphere, the crew must sever the service module. They cast it away like dead weight, leaving it to be completely incinerated by the friction of re-entry. The integrity capsule is now alone, plummeting towards Earth at 32 times the speed of sound. At this catastrophic velocity, the atmosphere does not gently slow them down. It acts like a concrete wall. The spacecraft compresses the air molecules so violently that they literally explode into a state of plasma. The capsule is instantly swallowed by a 5,000-degree Fahrenheit plasma slaughterhouse. inside this superheated cage, the radio waves are completely shredded by the energized electric field. For 6 agonizing minutes, communications go absolutely dead. It is like flying blind through the heart of a lightning storm. The immense force of deceleration slams into the crew, crushing their chests with 4 times the gravity of Earth. They are pinned down by the very planet they are trying to return to. It is the absolute, brutal tyranny of physics. But right there, as the blazing capsule screams across the sky like a dying star, freeze the frame. Take a breath. Let us step outside this frantic, fleeting moment and fast forward the clock. 100 years from now, the Integrity capsule sits quietly in a museum. Its heat shield is charred, its metal is rusting and peeling away under the slow decay of oxidation. And those 4 brave humans who rode the fire, they are gone, turned back into the dust of the earth. Fast forward 1 million years. The relentless erosion of time has swept across our world. The oceans have retreated. The bustling human cities have crumbled into sediment, erased forever by shifting tectonic plates. The very atmosphere that once burned the spacecraft is growing thin and exhausted. The Earth is slowly suffocating. But look up. Look 252,000 miles across the black ocean of space. Out there, on the silent, desolate surface of the moon, the crater named Carroll remains. Not a single grain of dust has been moved because there is no wind. Not a single stone has eroded. It is perfectly preserved in the freezing vacuum, bathed in the cold, unblinking light of the sun. While our vibrant, chaotic planet slowly devours itself, the frozen tombstone we left behind survives. The fragile biological creators will be entirely forgotten, but our desperate message, carved into a dead rock, will outlast the very world that gave birth to it. At 5:07 p.m. local time, bobbing in the 4-foot waves of the Pacific Ocean, 4 exhausted humans take their first breath of raw, unscrubbed air. They have survived a blistering 695,081-mile journey across the absolute void. But the cosmos demands one final bitter irony. As they float in the water, their communication system fails. Commander Reed Wiseman can hear the recovery boats calling out to them, but he cannot answer back. They have returned to the cradle of humanity, yet they are still momentarily trapped in the isolation of space. The mission of Artemis II concludes. The politicians offer their congratulations. The headlines scream about a triumphant new era of human expansion to the stars, but we know the brutal truth. This is not the dawn of a grand, eternal empire. We are not colonizers. This is a desperate act of future archaeology. We do not launch ourselves into the suffocating dark to conquer it. We go out there to steal a tiny fraction of time from absolute eternity, to leave a permanent scar on a lifeless rock, to plant our cosmic time capsules, so that billions of years from now, when the Earth finally stops spinning and our sun burns out into a cold, dead cinder, the universe will be forced to remember us. Somewhere out there in the freezing black, a silent, unblinking crater will stand as our ultimate witness. Proof that we existed, that our fragile biological hearts beat against the darkness, that we loved, and that for one brief, terrifying moment in the infinite void, we risked absolutely everything just to call out each other's names.